Wow. All I can say is wow. The Green Bay Packers just handled business against the Minnesota Vikings last night, winning 33 to 10, keeping their playoff hopes alive. They're at 8-8, and now they're in a situation where next week in Lambeau against the Chicago Bears, a win and into the playoffs. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the channel. Happy New Year to everyone watching. In today's video, I'm going to give my thoughts and reactions to that amazing game. Packers beating the Vikings 33 to 10. I mean, that alone is just awesome, right? Before this game, a lot of us were worried that no matter who was at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, they'd come out here and handle business. If it was Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, it didn't matter against this Packers defense. And you had every right to think that based on how the Packers defense had played. But for this week, for some reason, I felt confident about this defense. I felt confident about this game. I felt confident that they would go out there and handle business. And that's exactly what happened. What an awesome game. So let's break it down. So I'm going to start on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously we can start with our man, Jordan Love. Finished 22 of 33, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, didn't get sacked once. Shout out to this offensive line. This pass protection, they were excellent last night. And Jordan Love finished with a 125.3 rating. Even Sean Clifford got in a throw for 37 yards. And man, Jordan Love just continues to impress me. Like every game I watch, I find something else I really like about Jordan Love. In this game, it seemed like Jordan Love was very cool, calm, and collected, and he has been like that recently. But it seemed like he was just in charge. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. The play calls were excellent, and he was reading the field very well. He did miss a few throws where it's like, oh, damn, you kind of wish you had those back. The 1 4th down to Bo Melton there earlier in the game, but he also made a ton of amazing throws, a ton of off-platform throws, which can be some of his problem when he is inaccurate, but Jordan Love was not inaccurate last night. Jordan Love had an excellent game last night, and now on the year, Love is at 3,843 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. That is so impressive for his first year as a starter. Right now, statistically, Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. This season was meant to evaluate Jordan Love, and I think we got a very clear picture. Still 1 week left, and the Packers still could even go into the playoffs, but I think we already got our answer. Jordan Love is the future at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Now talking about the receivers on the other end of Jordan Love's throws, Bo Melton, guys. This guy has stepped up the last few weeks, and he will be signed to the active roster now and will be in the plans at wide receiver for next year, in my opinion. This just adds another player in this room, this very young room, for next season, and also, week 18 he'll be active. And what a game by Bo Melton. He was the first Packers wide receiver this year to get over 100 yards. That's still crazy that has just happened in week 17. Bo Melton finished 6 receptions, 105 yards, and 1 touchdown. Christian Watson being out, they needed another speed type of wide receiver. That's exactly what Bo Melton is, and he really has stepped up. I'm so excited about the future of this wide receiver room, now having someone like Bo Melton who's starting to get snaps and showcasing his ability. Jaden Reed had an awesome day, 6 receptions, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. Guys, Jaden Reed is going to be one of the best slot wide receivers in the NFL for years to come. And this is just his rookie season. And he broke Sterling Sharp's rookie reception record for the Green Bay Packers, man. These young wide receivers have stepped up heavily, as well as Tucker Kraft. He has obviously stepped up as well. He had 6 receptions, 48 yards, and we haven't even gotten Luke Musgrave back yet. We might get Luke Musgrave back next week, and I'm so excited for that. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, I think finally we have some good tight ends here in Green Bay. Romeo Doubs finished 3 for 28. Malik Heath had a catch for 13 yards. Aaron Jones 1 for 10. They don't really use Aaron Jones as much in the receiving game as we're used to seeing prior years, but he had a day on the ground, so they really didn't need to, and plus all these other wide receivers were stepping up. Ben Sims had a catch, and Samori Toure had a catch for -6 yards, also muffed that punt. Just really unfortunate. Samori Toure is someone I was very high on, but at this point, like, Bo Melton has his spot, and Samori Toure likely won't be on the Green Bay Packers roster next year. It was someone I was very high on, but he just hasn't done much with his chances, and then, goes to return a punt because Jaden Reed left with a rib injury and muffs that. And anytime he's on the offense, really nothing occurs or nothing happens. Like, he doesn't get any positive yards. As for the Green Bay running attack, this also worked exceptionally well. Like, everything worked for the Green Bay Packers last night. Aaron Jones, 20 carries for 120 yards. So last week he had 127 yards. This week he had 120. They're starting to feed Aaron Jones, giving him 20 plus carries a game. And that's a lot of the reason why they won last week and why they won this week. But everything was going for the Green Bay Packers offense. Running, passing, it didn't matter. You know, when we looked at this Minnesota defense, everyone was hyping this Minnesota defense up all week and in the prior weeks and how good they are. And the Packers went out there and dropped 33 on them. The Packers have dropped 33 points 2 weeks in a row. The Packers overall as a team ran 39 times for 177 yards and a 4.5 average. As I said, Reed did leave with an injury. It was a ribs injury, and the x-rays did come back and they were negative, so there's no broken ribs, so something to monitor going into week 18. But Reed has played through so many injuries except for last week, and he's a super tough player, so I do see him playing in week 18. Moving over to the defensive side, man, what a game by this defense. And I know a lot of people were like, well, is this going to maybe save Joe Barry's job? I still don't think it will, but man, you know, you're playing against Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall, and I know we were making jokes all week that these guys are going to put up 4 touchdowns against us, but at the end of the day, you are playing Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall. I mean, they had to bench their quarterback at halftime in Jaren Hall. He was only 5 for 10, 67 yards and an interception, so the Packers finally get an interception off that dropped pass by Johnny Munt. It bounced up, and Corey Ballantyne came away with the interception. And speaking of Ballantyne, big shout out to these young cornerbacks, especially Corey Ballantyne. He stepped up big yesterday, covering Justin Jefferson multiple times, had multiple pass breakups, and of course that interception. Ballantyne looked pretty good yesterday as well. You know, this is a defensive backfield without Jair because obviously he was suspended for the week, so they will get him back this week, but they definitely stepped up against this Vikings offense. Mullins finished 13 of 22, 113 yards, a touchdown, got sacked once, and had a quarterback rating of 87.9. So not horrible, but not great. But his touchdown was pretty much given to him after the Packers muffed that punt. So really the Packers defense, in my eyes, only gave up 3 points, which is so impressive after giving up 30 to the Carolina Panthers last week. You know, what a turnaround for this defense. You know, if this team gets hot at the right moment and wins next week and gets hot, they could be a dangerous team heading into this playoffs. The Packers also did decently well stopping the run. You know, they were up big early, so the Vikings really couldn't run as much as they wanted to, but Ty Chandler went 10 carries for 40 yards, so still a good average there, 4.0 average. Alexander Madison went 3 for 17, and overall the Vikings only ran 16 times for 67 yards and a 4.2 average. Again, the Packers were up big, the Vikings had to throw the football, and that's kind of where I feel like the Packers defense succeeds the most, is when the Packers obviously get an early lead, and the defense can kind of make the opposing offense more one-dimensional, especially when you have, you know, backup quarterbacks starting for the team. And man, they held Justin Jefferson in check, and yeah, would it be a different, you know, story if it was still Kirk Cousins at quarterback? Probably. But they held Justin Jefferson in check. Like, this is a massive win for the defense. Jefferson finished 5 receptions, 59 yards. That's it. That was their leading receiver. Johnny Munt, 4 for 39. Jordan Addison, 3 for 28. Like, Bo Melton had more yards than Jefferson and Addison combined. That's insane. Ty Chandler had 3 catches for 24 yards. Josh Oliver, 1 for 17. Alexander Madison, 2 for 13. The Vikings only threw for a total of 144 passing yards. Man, this defense stepped up last night. Nixon led the team in tackles with 11, also had a tackle for loss, had a half a sack. Quay Walker had a sack. They were using Quay Walker perfectly last night in terms of like pressure, and I feel like this Packers front 7 got so much pressure last night, and that's why the defense did as well as it did. Checking PFF right now, the Packers had a total of 36 pressures and 7 sacks. Man, this defense just stepped up last night, got pressure pretty much every play, and just shut down this Vikings offense. The Packers handled business, keeping their playoff hopes alive, eliminating the Minnesota Vikings from the playoffs. It's going to be a tough game this upcoming week. You know, this is not going to be an easy win for the Green Bay Packers against the Bears. The Bears have won the last 4 of 5 games, and they've been playing some good football. Luckily, it is in Lambeau, but, you know, this isn't going to be an easy win, but the Packers can definitely do it if they keep this up. They're playing super efficiently on offense, and then, of course, you know, this bounce back week on defense, it's going to be a whole different story playing against someone like Justin Fields than Jaren Hall and Nick Mullins. So I'm hoping the Packers have an answer for his running ability and get this thing done. What a win last night. And just before that, the Seattle Seahawks had lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is why now week 18 is a win-and-in situation. The Packers need no more help. They control their own destiny. But that about does it for this video. I appreciate you guys coming by. Let's start this new year off right and get a win in Week 18 versus Chicago and bring the Packers into the playoffs under the first year of Jordan Love. That would be something. But that about does it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.